Hello and welcome back to the Find Your Feet podcast, a podcast show dedicated to helping you get closer to your true authentic self by helping you find your feet in life.
Today we had the pleasure of being joined by Kirsty Raynor, who is a mindset coach and meditation teacher, and she helps people navigate the messy middle. And not only that, she's just a full-time legend, one of the most amazing women ever. I just think she's absolutely great.
I love her.
She's full of the best energy ever, and of course her and Emily Roberts have created Monday Network, which is the new podcast network we have signed with, which we talk about within this episode. It's all very exciting, guys.
It's also exciting. So we explain a little bit more about Monday Network and what it is, why Kirsty and Em started it, and what to kind of expect to come in the future with it, as well as talking all about Kirsty's journey, because she's had a really, really interesting career journey. So if you're someone who's been maybe wanting to make a big change in your career, go into a new, different industry that you've never been in before, maybe you've discovered a new passion that you want to follow, this episode will really inspire you to do that, because you'll get to hear straight from Kirsty her own experience of doing that, from swapping from 10 years in London in the PR scene, swapping over into the wellness world, and how that experience has been for her. And she's a girl boss, so this is going to inspire you, and it's just so lovely to chat with Kirsty because we just love her so much.
Yeah, she's an absolute vibe, and she's just so comforting. She really helps you come back to your power. And helps you realise that we're just here to have a good time.
Yeah, love her. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Today we are joined by Kirsty Raynor. She is a coach, transformational coach. She's a yoga teacher, a meditation teacher, and you've also had 10 years experience in the PR and media world. And we're really excited to chat to you today all about your journey and how you transitioned your career into the wellness world. Because I think so many people feel pigeonholed into one role. And I love your story of how you moved into something else and you've built this big sort of personal brand, and you're doing podcasting and all the Monday Network and everything we're going to talk about today as well. But would you just like to introduce yourself to the audience, let them know a little bit about you, what you do, and your journey to where you are now?
Well, I mean, what an intro. How am I going to live up to that? Yeah, so I started years ago. I kind of was 21 and I was like, Mom, I'm just going to move to London for a year. Don't worry about it. I'm obviously Northern. And, 15 years later, I'm still here. I fell in love with the lifestyle, the opportunity, the abundance of people that you meet. Every single day is totally different, right? You meet the most just wonderful, eclectic mix of people. And that's what I really loved. And I was very blessed to have really cool jobs in media. I worked for Hello magazine when it was the royal wedding. I worked for Shortlist, for Stylist magazine. These amazing brands that were at the forefront of the industry at the time. And with that came loads of opportunity and loads of exposure. So I was always very good at building relationships with brands and pitching to brands, and was never really afraid, because I was like, the worst they can say is no. Is that really going to define your whole day? I'm not entirely sure, right? So I had a mini hiatus in that. When I was 24, I went traveling on my own. I'd kind of was in this company and I'd got as far as I could get, and they wanted to promote me, but I was almost too young for that job at that level. And I really, really knew that, I would have been managing people much older than me. It didn't feel right for me. I was very, very career driven. And so because of that, in the 3 years, I'd got very far. But I just wanted to do something for me before I kind of got into the world of this is it now, I'm going to be in my career. And so I booked a ticket. I went to India by myself for 3 months. My mum was like, I'm sorry, what? Where's the conversation before you go? I was like, no, it's going to be fine. And then kind of Southeast Asia for 3 months. And I just completely fell in love with yoga. Now, I'd been practicing yoga since I was about 19, but absolutely fell in love with it in India. Was obsessed, was doing it every day, and I wanted to really pursue that interest. And what was it about yoga that I loved? And I think the difference in my original desire to go into it was about the feeling. right? It was about this feeling that you can create with your mind, your body, and your breath. And it's all for free. And it's not really about the postures and what you can do and you have to be able to do a handstand or only people go to this class if they're good enough for this. I'm like, that is a load of, can I swear on your podcast?
Yeah, we swear too much on our
It's a load of
podcast,
shit,
so
right? It's just a load of shit. I was like, that you are isolating this whole bunch of people who are nervous to walk into a studio. So, I found my little yoga tribe. I came back, I was working in media, and I was like, I'm going to save up to do my yoga teacher training. And I want to go to this really amazing school that I'd found in Hawaii. And so when I was 29, I was like, you know what? Saturn returned. I'm off. And I thought, if it doesn't work out, I can always get another job. Like, I really was quite fearless. And the times were different then as well. I must say, we're living in an unprecedented time, right? So I don't think to be that carefree is that easy now. But at that time, I knew that probably my old job would take me back, or I'd just get a different job. So I was like, I'm just going to go and see what happens. Because I had that background in working in media, I really did have a step up as well. I must say, I knew how to create a brand. I knew how to communicate. I knew how to build social media. It all really helped. And I did my yoga teacher training and I came back and I loved it. And I immersed myself in so much. I had saved for a year. So I was like, I'm fine for a year. And I taught loads for free. And I taught for brands and amazing kind of companies that I really looked up to. And I said, can I just come and do some free sessions? If you like it, you can book me. Off the back of that, built the backbone of my business. So, we can talk more about that on the corporate side of stuff if you want to. But that really is a fundamental part of my business. And I did all that because I put myself out there for free in the beginning. And I think it's a really important thing to know your value and know your worth, but also know that it really is a relationship dynamic and it really is give and take. So you have to offer something that the client cannot refuse, which was the same principle in anything in media. And go there, full throttle. Like, I used to carry around a suitcase with all the yoga mats in. I'm not even joking. Just trawling around the tube. I was buckaroo every day, just going to all these different places. But off the back of that, I built these amazing relationships. So fast forward a few years, I ran a half marathon. God, this is a really long, by the way, monologue.
No, it's good.
Go for it. We love it.
Okay. I've had a coffee. I'm ready. I ran a half marathon. Why? Don't ask me. And I had needed hip surgery, basically. I mean, that's a very shortened story. I went through a lot of pain. I was waiting for ages for surgery. Luckily, I'm very blessed. I got my hip surgery just before the pandemic hit, literally the month before. Otherwise, it would have been cancelled. So I'm very, very lucky in that sense. But also because of the pandemic, I couldn't have physio. So my recovery has been very, very slow. I think in those initial few months, you really needed physio and I couldn't have it. And so because of that, I was forced to slow down and I really thought about what I want to do. And I'd been presented about, being a coach before. Do you know Lucy Sheridan?
No,
Follow
never
Lucy
heard of
Sheridan.
her.
I don't know.
No.
She's she's amazing. She's the comparison coach, right? And years ago, she said to me, "Have you ever thought about being a coach?" And I was like, "No." Nobody would listen to me. Why would I? I'm just this loud northerner running around on the tube constantly, buckets of energy. And she's yeah, but what you're doing and creating is the same thing. It's a feeling for somebody, right? But it's just a different modality. And so I began to train, worked with clients. I think I did 100 hours for free. Again, I took that same principle that I did before. I really worked. I wanted to get experience. I really, threw myself into it again. And I had the same principle. I did about 100 hours for free with clients. I really, really wanted to coach people who were quite difficult so that I would learn so much. And then off the back of that, again, it reshaped my business into what it is now. From then I'm very blessed. Again, if you want, I can talk about the corporate foundation of my business. But they kind of have grown with me. So the more I've learned, the more it's almost piqued their interest to keep the relationship going. There's one company, a tech company I've worked with now. This will be our 5th year working together. And, even next week, we have a brand new workshop that we're doing together. There's just constantly new and different things. And I think that's really unique. And the understanding is always to put the client first. It's not about me. me. It's about them. What are their needs? How are their employees feeling? What do they want to create? How can I help you? Like, what can I do for you? It's not really about me. And I think sometimes that can get a bit lost potentially in the industry. It's not about me, it's about you. I'm just here as a service. So let me provide the best service I can for you. And then, through the pandemic, I was just constantly listening to podcasts. I love to chat, as you can probably tell from this monologue. and I wanted to bring out my own podcast. I thought, if it doesn't work out, doesn't matter, does it? Give it a go. Luckily, it's gone really well so far. I'm really passionate, obviously, about mindset. I'm trained as a mindset coach, transformational coach. I've got a diploma in neuroplasticity, trained in Vedic meditation. So everything essentially is kind of full circle around mindset. I know you girls are amazing. You're so passionate about it. I love your podcast. I love listening to just your take on stuff as well is different, right? Like, we all listen to things in a different way, and I can really appreciate a different view on a point. I think it's great. And then off the back of the podcast, we were just talking about this before, weren't we? About how, the pandemic has made us feel somewhat isolated. And I saw so many podcast hosts becoming really siloed and on their own and just showing up in the grind. And having a podcast is not easy. You guys talk about this. You know this. Week in, week out, finding guests, marketing your podcast, trying to keep up, create social content, all of the things. And I was sat with my friend one day and I was just like, I don't want to see it anymore. I don't want to see people struggling who create amazing content. I want them to be showcased to brands. So we set up the Monday Network. We called it Monday because it's the biggest day for self-development. It's kind of when everyone gives themselves a little kick again. And they're like, right, I'm getting back into it. They're all, we're going to host female-focused, value-led podcasts. So essentially, there's no fluff, no salacious material. Everything is about building in self-development or tips or hacks or beautiful stories from amazing guests. And then we want to take these incredible podcasts and showcase them to brands, and brands that have this beautiful affiliation with the podcast. And obviously my background is in media doing that. So is Em's, my business partner. And so that's where we're at. I'm just going to have a sip of tea.
You have a little drink. No, it's such an incredible career journey. And I think, there's a lot of people that listen to this podcast that are still trying to figure out their purpose and what they want to be doing with their career. And it's really nice to hear from your story where you've dived into lots of different areas, like such a long career in PR, then taking the leap to think, you know what, I actually want to pursue this little inkling I've got for yoga and see what happens there. And then that developed into coaching and then podcasting and then our podcast network. And you can actually see how all these things have fed into each other. And I think a lot of people feel lost in certain jobs. They're like, I don't love this job. It doesn't feel like my true passion and purpose. But you actually learn every job you have leads up to, where you're going to. Like, you always learn stuff. Like, you're not saying you didn't enjoy your career in PR, but all of that has led to you being amazing, like you said, at the corporate side of your business and building that out and working with clients and having such a long relationship with them. And what's going to feed into the Monday Network and make that amazing as well is that same skill set of building those relationships with brands. So it's really nice to hear your career story because it's so diverse and you've been brave and just dived into different things and not been scared to change and put yourself outside of boxes. I think so many people put themselves in a box, like, no, I do PR and that's it. I can't be a yoga teacher. I can't be a coach. And so what would your tips be for somebody else that's looking to pursue a career change? Like, what were some of the mindset things that you had that made you be brave to follow your intuition and just to, take changes and do different things, go to India, go to Hawaii, try all these different things and not sort of keep yourself in one sense of identity with your career?
That's a really great question. So one thing that always sticks out for me is you need to know your why. You need to know the reason for doing that and that you want to do that, and then go full throttle with it. So for me, I would say I was slightly more reckless than I probably would be now back then. And maybe that fed into that was a great thing for me within my character at that time, because it got me to where I am. But I think it's really fundamental to kind of really have a grasp on your internal foundation, right? Your internal functioning. So are you coming at this change from a place of anxiety or excitement? Or, are you looking to attach yourself onto this different thing because you think it's going to give you worth? You have to be really balanced before you make these decisions. So asking yourself, why do I feel that I need the change? What will this change create for me? What is the life I want to lead? Setting yourself intentions. And I know there's a lot of conversation around like amazing techniques in goal setting, but you need to always ask yourself why you're doing that. Like even going into a goal setting exercise, why are you doing that? What is the purpose? What is the functionality of this? There's a really great part of metacognition that's called bias towards thinking and bias towards action, right? And so you want to be thinking to yourself, I have all these thoughts and I'm constantly creating in my head, but without the action, it kind of is meaningless. So we need to be able to really take a grasp on that. What am I actually out there doing, actioning and creating to evoke this change and to evoke these thoughts? And then when I'm having these thoughts, how am I feeling? Like, am I excited about this? Am I scared? Like, all feelings are valid and welcome, by the way. Am I, I don't know. Like, you just have to really, really be able to understand the feeling and the thought around what you're wanting to achieve and the goal that you're setting for yourself. Without that, it's like muddied water, isn't it? We're not going to really take the steps that we need to. We're going to take the steps we think we need to. And, I as well blocked out all opinion, which, I had a lot of opinion thrown at me, especially when I was leaving my job. I'd done very well for my age. Again, I was on a very good salary, and leaving it to go and pursue something perhaps that's not quite as lucrative. But for me, I knew it would be in the end. It wasn't really about that. I mean, now my salary is, 4 times what it was in my corporate job, but that's years down the line as well. I don't want people to compare that to the beginning. In the beginning, it was pure hustle. It was offering for free. It was working with brands I wanted to. And so kind of really getting the internal foundation right is my key piece of advice, I guess, for anyone looking to change.
I love hearing about your journey. I really do. I would love to know quite a lot more about your obstacles that you may have come up against, especially how you said you had a hip injury and then you had to change from yoga career into your mindset coaching. How was that transitional stage? Did you come up with any fear and doubt, any imposter syndrome? I know a lot of our listeners, like Grace said, they're looking to change their career path. Maybe they're stuck in a job that they don't enjoy. Was there anything you come up against where you had to really sit with yourself and think, like, how am I going to get through this? What do I need to do to get my mindset in the right way? Like, is there anything you came up against in that situation?
You girls ask really good questions. Yeah, I mean, everything essentially. My whole identity was taken away from me. So I built my brand and I guess my social media, and I guess what I was known as was Kirsty Yoga, right? Kirsty, the yoga teacher. I'd worked with great brands like Clinique, Isle of Paradise, Sony, all of these amazing, amazing different companies. And now what's going to happen? I'm going to go to them and say, oh, by the way, I can't do that anymore. So the one thing that I would say was the merge between the two is that I trained in Vedic meditation. And so I was doing that alongside the yoga. So that was something that I could still keep going with. And actually, that was more rewarding for clients anyway, because thinking about the people who I worked with, a lot of them have a really high cognitive workload. They're quite siloed. They potentially don't have the confidence to walk into a studio and go to a meditation session on their own. However, in the comfort of, I guess it transitioned then, didn't it, into the pandemic. So in the comfort of their own home and online where they can be private within that meditation, it flourished. So I'd already been training in mindset work anyway during this time, because I do believe that once you're qualified, are you ever qualified? The world is always changing. We always need to be in trainings. Like, I don't understand people who just do one and that's it. But anyway, so I'd always kind of kept up with different ways of portraying my message and trying to help people. Essentially, that was at the core, that I just want to make people feel better. I just want them to feel okay. Like, I want them to know that they can create this feeling for themselves, and it's for free, and it's within everybody. It's not elitist. It's not for this type of person, or you have to be good at this. Actually, it's nothing to do with that. So that was the stigma that I was trying to take away, and it was really well received. So there was a lot of mindset stuff that came up for me, but my thoughts on imposter syndrome are quite controversial in that I don't really fully believe in it, because yeah, I know. Oh,
No, I like
I
it.
can hear your listener like clicking off now. Yep, see you later. I do, and I don't. So my theory is that when you are new at something and you're a beginner, right, it's going to be difficult, isn't it? You don't know what to expect. You don't know what's coming up for you. I totally get that. I totally understand that. If you're comparing yourself to someone 7 years into their business and getting imposter syndrome because of that, well, that's a different thing. It's a comparison trap, isn't it? If you compare yourself to someone like to like, and you're both beginners going into that field on the exact same day at the exact same time, would you feel like an imposter?
No.
Right? So that's what I try to say when I work with people, that we've all been there. Everyone's been a beginner. Like, we were even talking about the podcast and like learning how to make a podcast. Right? I was like, instead of getting stressed and comparing myself to someone who's like top 10 in the charts every week, who's got a whole team behind them, there's just me and my sound guy, and like, that's okay, and we're going to make it work, and we're going to give it our best shot. So for me, I didn't ever feel imposter syndrome, because I believed in my message, and I knew that it was doing good, and I knew that it was going to make a difference. So yeah.
Love that. It's an interesting point of view on the imposter syndrome. But I love as well, like, you can just really hear how much your why was really important for you. And I think when you connect to a deeper why that, you know, fills out into all these different parts of your career, it does help you just get through those moments of doubt, or this is actually really hard. And in the early stages where you had left your big salary in the corporate world to then be hustling, making it as a yoga teacher initially, and you building your career up that way, you're taking such a step down in terms of how much financial how much money you've got coming in and things like that. And your why is what's going to keep you like pushing through. Because most people, like, they wouldn't bother to do that. They'd be like, no, why would I leave the comfort of my comfort zone and where I am now? It's safe. I know what it is. But if you've got that strong why, that's what helps to push you out of that. And it's really clear that you've had that strong why through everything that you're doing, and what's like continually leading you on to do more and more things, like as you're expanding with your podcast and the Monday Network and everything. But just to talk some more about your coaching work, like, obviously everyone is a coach for a different reason. They provide like a certain sort of niche, and yours is that you help people navigate the messy middle, which I've never really heard any coach saying. Like, I follow a lot of coaches on Instagram and things like that, like, and consume their content. So I'd love to hear more about like what it is that you specialize in and with your clients, and how you help them.
Yeah, of course. So it was actually me and my best friend who came up with this, because I was like, what is it that I do? Because like you say, you sort of need to create and curate your own identity, don't you? Because there are so many coaches, and unfortunately, being a mindset coach really isn't enough to kind of grasp people's attention. So she just spoke to me, and we sat down one day, and it was like, it's a crossroads, right? It's helping people in this part. Are you wanting to transition from full-time work into creating your own business? Are you wanting to evolve your business from this to that? You know, what is it exactly that you're wanting to do? Are you wanting to look on a personal level? You know, you've maybe come out of a relationship. Like, how can I guide you? I'm working with a client at the moment who is so senior in a bank. I won't say who it is, but it's like, and she's leaving everything to move away and to create her new life in Yorkshire. And you know, it's those moments, right? It's that I'm helping people with, because of metacognition, meditation, neuroplasticity, mindset. Transformational coaching in itself is so powerful. The modules and the things that you learn are just like mind-blowing. Like, there's one part of it, which is all about presence, which is what really I use it a lot as a coach, and I'm a very reflective coach. So I think people like that style of coaching because it's not forceful. It's not constant questions. In fact, there's some sessions where I might ask you one question and the rest is reflection, because you are intuitive and you already know it. But we sometimes need that extra guidance, right? So I've kind of been able to work with people in this amazing way. I've developed a corporate program, which is a 6-week transformational coaching program, which I've now done like globally with different companies from the comfort of like my own home again, which like blows my mind still, like how we do this. But I'm ready for the travel, guys. Like, I'm happy to come to California. I'll do it live for you, it's fine. And then I've also had an 8-week course that I brought out last year called The Clear Way, which is all about kind of creating that clarity and that confidence to live your life on purpose. Which is coming back out again, like in a month. But again, like, it was really finding what people need and what they can use in any situation and giving them the tools to then go forth and create and be bold and be brave and find your path, because we all deserve to find our path.
Yeah, beautiful.
Amazing.
It sounds like you really are kind of living in your purpose from like what I can hear. Like, it sounds like you do such beautiful work. Do you feel like how your career has developed to where you are now with your mindset and bringing out the Monday Network, do you feel like you're living in your purpose and living in alignment? Because I feel like that's the kind of vibe you really get.
Yeah.
Oh, you girls. Could just chat to you all day. I do. No, I definitely do. And I'm super grateful every day. I'm very ambitious. So it's almost a blessing and a curse sometimes, because when I reflect, so I did like my end of year reflection and I was getting all my clients to do this, and I looked and I'm like, fucking hell, like, you've done loads. But for me, it's not enough. Like, there's more I could do, right? There's more people I could be talking to or more things. And actually, like, I'm trying to this year strike the balance between, I'm very, very ambitious. So Monday Network is our main focus, actually, really, because the rest of my business, I'm years down the line, is very, like, everything's kind of mapped out for the year already with corporate clients that I work with. You know, we plan a year in advance. So I have that flexibility and that freedom to be able to create other things. And so I was like, I want to help other people in a way. I want to help like these podcast hosts. I want to help brands. Brands want to reach out to podcasts. They don't know how to do it really. And it's a really new world, isn't it? And it's something that we can really create like amazing things for listeners, amazing experiences. And so that's the goal. Yeah. But it's like a double-edged sword, isn't it? You know?
No, I love it. I love your ambition, because I love that you just keep doing all these new things. And I just think Monday Network, and you do so many amazing things, but obviously that, like you said, that's your new focus for this year.
Yeah.
And we're so excited to be part of it as well. But I just think it's the most amazing idea. Like, it's exactly what the podcast, like the UK podcast scene needs, like bringing people together, collaborating, and just because all podcasts, they've all got their own little communities of like really, you know, loyal listeners that are very invested, and they show up every week to listen to the host and have like a connection with them. And it's so amazing that we're going to be able to like bring all of that together and across different podcast communities. So I just think it's the most incredible idea. I'm so excited. But your sense of ambition, where do you think that has come from? Like, was it something, I know you've got a really close relationship with your mum, like, was it something that you got from her, or is it just always been within you, or was it something from childhood? Or
yeah, I mean, it's like innate, really. So my whole family is a we are like hardworking. So my mum and dad were both in the police. My dad's retired now. My mum retires in March. Shout out, mum. And she'll be listening. And yeah, like from then, I've always, I even started working when I was about 12, like just like babysitting and doing those things. Then worked, I remember I was 15. I worked my whole summer, literally every single day. Didn't have a day off. Worked in a little like clothes shop in Scarborough, shout out. And I thought I was like the shit, right? I was like, it was like was it a designer shop? Maybe ish, kind of for there, but it wasn't. And I was just like prancing around in all these clothes. Like, I went to college, like, who did I think I was? but it kind of came from then. And I moved to London and I was like, wow, like if you want to get somewhere, you've got to like work hard. And I really worked hard. I mean, I worked hard, played hard, I must say. Working in media in your 20s is wild, but it was great fun. I could not sustain that now, no way. But I think I've always had it, and I've always known that, you know, we have so much opportunity in life if we want to take it, and if we look to see it, right? So we have opportunity to create every day, and I think the world is different now. So, you know, back then there wasn't social media, well, there wasn't Instagram. Oh my god, I'm so old. Am I your oldest guest potentially? But there wasn't like Instagram then, so you know, my life was, it was kind of very different. Like there felt like a lot more freedom in a sense, where you could just do whatever, and there wasn't someone recording a video of you drunk. Basically, you know, you could kind of do what you wanted to do. Whereas now, you know, it's wonderful, and I think if you've got a healthy relationship with social media, it's one of the best tools that you can use for your business and for yourself and your personal brand. But again, you know, you've got to have that healthy relationship. So I think you can easily get addicted into it. And I used to sit on Instagram and say it's for work, and I'm doing, and it wasn't. Like, let's be honest, like absolutely wasn't. I was just sat scrolling, and you know, then that can take you off your path. So I think to always seek out the opportunity around you and go for that opportunity, and really try to not be triggered by what other people are doing, because that will keep you on your path and that will keep your motivation going.
Yeah, such great tips. I feel like everyone listening now will be like really fired up. But we would love to talk a little bit more about meditation, because meditation has played a massive role in both our lives, and I would love to know how it has infiltrated into your life, and also a little bit more about Vedic meditation and why you chose to learn in that and teach Vedic meditation.
Yeah, so meditation, oh my God, it's amazing, isn't it? So again, I got really into meditation when I was in India. And I was very much like, you think I'm chatty now? Like, you should have met me 10 years ago. Like, absolute gobshite. Like, just did not stop talking. So, you know, needed meditation, like needed the balance. And I just fell in love with it. Again, it was that feeling, wasn't it? It was that creation, that opportunity to step back and be still, and to really, really think about everything that you're doing. And I just honestly, I loved it so much. And then I kind of seeked out amazing teachers. So like Watkins, I was really drawn to. He's an amazing Vedic meditation teacher. He's a nomad, just like super cool, like this giant Californian dude. He's amazing. And just, yeah, like I was drawn to the principles. So it's the oldest style of meditation, coming like directly like for the principles from the Veda. But what I like about it is that it's super simple. And I think meditation gets really complicated sometimes, right? It's very much you're led, and there's kind of mantras or words or sounds. Or when it was in India, it was a lot of like humming sounds. There wasn't really much, and you can feel this vibration. I teach it in different ways. Again, Vedic is kind of, you know, a principle, and then a meditation teacher takes that principle and puts their own spin on it, right? So every single time you go to a Vedic meditation session, it will be totally different. But for me, what I really enjoyed about it is that it gave me that clarity and that stillness, and that I was focusing on one thing over and over again. And it's really quite difficult. So your mind wants to push against that. Your mind wants to be like, no, like I have all of these things to do, and all of these conversation, and all of these thoughts. But actually, I want you to just have one thought right now, and that's it. And so it took me ages to get it. Years. I'm not joking. It took me years to fully be able to practice Vedic meditation. Now I practice it every day. Like every morning I meditate. I have to meditate in the morning. If I haven't, my partner's like, did you meditate today? You are not nice to be around. I can't process things, and I almost feel a bit hypocritical, like if I'm talking to people about it, right, and I haven't done it. It's like, come on, like at least you have to make the effort to do it. And it's amazing. I love it. I also practice Transcendental Meditation sometimes. Again, I haven't trained in that because it's a very unique practice, and I don't know how well and how easy I could teach that to a group. But I also quite like keeping some things for me, you know, that I haven't trained in, right? So like I haven't trained in breath work, and I love breathwork, like rebirthing breathwork, I love, but I will never train in it because I want it to be something for me that I go to, that you've got in your toolkit for you. And that's how I feel about Transcendental. So yeah, I think for anyone who's new to meditation, just showing up is the main thing, right? And show up for like 1 minute a day and then maybe increase it to like a minute and a half and just keep going. The consistency and the desire to want to do it is what will keep you going. Again, I think if you're forcing yourself to do it, just leave it for now. You're not going to enjoy it. You're not going to want to do it. But I think that surrendering sometimes, coming back to your why, looking at what your energy is, your mood, your reaction, how you feel. Do you need meditation in your life?
Just interrupting the episode for a little word from our sponsor of the podcast, BetterHelp. BetterHelp are a professional, secure online counselling service. So wherever you're listening to this in the world right now, as long as you've got an internet connection, you can be signed up with a professional, highly qualified, licensed therapist and be communicating with them through BetterHelp's online service and get the support you need for your mental health so that you can thrive in 2022 from the comfort of your own home.
Yeah, so if you have been wanting to invest in a therapist, but you have no idea where you want to turn or what kind of style of therapy you even need, you can just go onto the BetterHelp website and fill in a questionnaire, exactly what you feel like you need the support for, and they will find the right therapist for you. And then even if you're actually matched with a therapist and you think, I want to work on something slightly different, or I want a different approach, you can actually change therapists for free until you're happy.
And on top of all of this, BetterHelp make their services very, very affordable. So if financial investment of therapy has been standing in the way between you getting support you need recently, then BetterHelp is the perfect option for you. And if you're in a specific financial situation, they do offer additional financial aid on top of their usual price. And not only that, you get an additional 10% discount on top of that as well for being a listener of the podcast and being part of our community. So all you need to do to access this discount is head to the link betterhelp.com/finding your feet. That's betterhelp.com/finding your feet. Link is in the show notes. Click through there, fill out a quick questionnaire, get matched with a therapist in just 2 days, and you can start your therapy journey and get support you need from home. But it's very affordable. It will cost you around £160 a month, £150 a month for all your therapy sessions, additional support in the messaging chat, and access to BetterHelp's webinars that they put on as well to just educate you on wellness, well-being, mental health, all of that good stuff.
Yeah, and that investment that you make in yourself is truly priceless, especially when it goes down to therapy. So if you're thinking about it, then go for it. Get excited. It's a really beneficial thing to invest in yourself. But that's all for now. Let's get back into the episode with Kirsty.
Yeah, I think with meditation, like you get like quite an instant relief in that you do feel calmer once you finished it. But I think that most of the benefits you reap like much further down the line after having a consistent practice. So anyone like that's, because there'll be people listening now that maybe want to start meditation as one of their habits for the new year. And I think it's just so important to keep consistent with it and just start small, because like it infiltrates into so many parts of your life, meditation. Like it's not just, oh, you feel calmer and your mind's a bit slower. Like we were speaking on our last episode and just saying like even your relationships improve because you're more present and you're like listening to the person more. That makes them feel more seen because you're like there in the moment, because that's what meditation does for you. But how else do you feel like that? I know you just mentioned that you do breath work, and we can talk some more about what your like toolkit is for self-care, because everyone's got like a different one, and it's always interesting to hear what people's is. But what is like apart, I know you teach it, but what has it done for you personally? Like what are the benefits you see within your own life? Like how has it helped you maybe with your career, with self-belief, like even things like that?
I mean, at the crux of it is communication. So I would say when I was younger, I was quite hot-headed and would react instantly to anything. Again, that came from a very yang energy. Like I say, I was hardworking, but when you're working hard, you're pushed constantly, you kind of have to be in that really strong energy, right, to deal with these clients, to deal with a lot of internal pressure as well as external pressure. So I think communication is a really key factor for me with meditation, in that it's taught me to just take time to step back to really analyze the thoughts and the processes behind the thoughts. So is your thought an instant reaction, or are you looking at this person and it's triggering an attachment style, or is there something coming up from you that you've suppressed, right? That can be traumatic, for example, that can sometimes come from the subconscious. We, as you know, meditation is led from all different parts of the consciousness, but when we look at the subconscious, we're looking at the part of the brain where we've pushed stuff back, the things that can come up for you, and it can be super, super triggering. So for me, meditation helped me to process my thoughts and then the reasoning behind my thoughts.
Yeah. Put that space between you something happening and you responding to it, and that's if you can master that skill in life and keep it forever, it's like gold, if you can do that. Because how many times do we go about our days and things unexpected happen, and you can literally lose so much of your energy by reacting and focusing on the wrong things rather than instead of reacting things, responding, choosing how you want to be and how you want to show up that day. That's one of the most amazing things about meditation. So it's for someone that literally wants to get started, and maybe they're oh, I don't even know what Vedic meditation is, I don't know what to do. I know you were saying they'll just start just try a minute a day, but have you got any really practical tips for a beginner to start building that habit? Maybe it's their 2022 resolution.
Yeah, great resolution if that is yours. So I would just try tons of different styles first of all, and really see what you like, and not really think too much about it. So I have some on my Instagram, for example. I do a little one at the end of every podcast as well. It's like a mini medi, I call it. Again, just to kind of get people into it and kind of see what they like, what they enjoy. There's also there's so many modern styles of meditation. So I did an episode that's a moving meditation where it kind of guides you, and I'll get you to stand up and sit down and do all of these different things, because it's quite somatic, so it's getting into the body as well. But again, go on YouTube. Gabby Bernstein has amazing meditations that you can listen to. Light Watkins is a great meditation teacher. There's so many different things, and I would just kind of play around with that initially and enjoy it. You might find a really cool teacher, especially on YouTube, when it auto plays the next thing sometimes, and you have never heard of that person before, right? So I would try all the different styles. I would also ask yourself really honestly, how much time do you have for it? Because you can't put pressure on yourself to, do a 15-minute meditation in the morning if you literally have half an hour to get ready in the morning, right? Or you have children, or you're doing a school run, or there's all of these different things. And I am privy to that, and I'm blessed in a way that I have a lot of freedom in my life. It is a core value that I have created though, but I do have a lot of freedom. So I understand that. I come from that place. So I think really honestly ask yourself, what time of day is going to work best for you that you can really stick at, and just say for the first week, let's try to do 2 days this week, and then maybe we increase it to 3 days, and just notice the feeling and how you feel afterwards, how well you sleep, for example, how well you communicate, your energy levels, all of those elements. And once you see that, you'll become addicted to it. But I think just trying, like I say, a plethora of people, find a style. Some people like silent meditation. I don't actually. I always like to have music. I find it just takes me, and I don't say you have to sit in lotus pose either. I had hip surgery, I can't sit in lotus pose at all. So find what's comfortable for you. If lying down is better for you, if sitting against a wall, legs in the air, again, there's no rules really. So just really creating a practice for you.
I was going to say, I'm really glad we dived into that meditation, because I honestly feel like anybody listening, like you said, if there's one tip you could take away for your new 2022, it's meditation, because it's just so life-changing. And I think once you kind of get that initial inspiration to start, listen to this conversation now and to go and start it, once you get those rewards and the feelings, you just want to keep going. But I would love to know as well, say if you were having a day and you felt slightly overwhelmed, or maybe even if you wanted to create something new, you wanted to manifest, do you have any kind of rituals? So you said maybe about breath work. Is there anything you kind of go through in the morning or the evening? We always love to know people's different little rituals.
I know you do. So in the morning, So also just don't ever put massive lights on. Like I see my
Mm.
neighbors and I'm like, how are you waking up? And just like this giant light is on and it's like so bright and it's just really not good for the brain. So really soft lighting, first of all, when I wake up, and meditate. First of all, before anything, then I'll have like a big glass of water. It sounds really boring. And then I do kind of like, I wouldn't call it yoga, but I'd say like 10 minutes of like really good stretching, waking up the body. Again, because I had hip surgery, I actually have to do that. So that's kind of played into that anyway. And I wake up and it's like any slight discomfort I might feel, and I'm not in a lot of discomfort, by the way, but a slight bit of discomfort I might feel is gone after that. Then I walk my dog. I have a dog, so she gets me out really early. But it's quite nice because I walk the dog and I put a podcast on. So yesterday was you guys. But like I listen to that, that keeps me going. That's kind of really nice in the morning. Put a podcast on, walk the dog, get back. And then it's very much everything's soft then. So I might work out, if I work out 4 times a week, maybe. A couple of times in the morning, a couple of times in the evening, depending on how I feel. So I'd always do a workout before I walk the dog. Again, it kind of like gets you out, stretches you out, you feel good. But when I get back, everything is really relaxed still. So I know some people love to work and have the TV on, for example. I cannot. Like I can have music on and that's it. And it's all that kind of really soft energy that I try to curate in my home. And I think that's super important. Even if you work in an office, you can control that to an extent. You can look at how your desk is set up, have fresh flowers. I used to have that all the time. Maybe you can have like a little lamp on your desk or something. There's things that you can do that create that soft, that feminine energy. And then in the evening, because I work from home most of the time, I really needed to create a break between work and personal life. And so I'm very, very strict on when I finish my work in the evening, unless there's something pressing. And then from that, again, I'll take my dog out and it kind of like breaks the day up. So I've gone back out and it's almost like I'm coming home from my day. And from then in the evening, often it's breath work. So relaxing and releasing the energy that I've accumulated in the day, because not every day goes well. Sometimes you can have difficult encounters, or, you can pitch work to a new client. They say no, it can, which is inevitable, obviously, but it can really get you down some days. So again, breath work is totally releasing for me. And you don't have to practice a whole rebirthing session, but you could even do like box breath, something super simple like that, nose breathing, like all of these different elements to kind of really clear the energy. And that's what I like to do in the evening.
Yeah, I love that. Sounds like very nice sort of rituals to start and end your day to just keep you grounded.
Yeah.
And when you were saying like how you try and have that soft energy in your home, you can really see that by putting that into your environment, it comes out of you. It's like we're talking to you now, you have such a soft energy, and that's what you'll bring to your coaching clients and things like that. And that's why people will be drawn to work with you, and obviously why you're an amazing meditation teacher, because you've got that soft, calming energy. But what you were saying there about freedom and how like that's a really important value for you, and you've sort of built your life around that. Like I really resonate with that. Like I realized in the pandemic that freedom was something that was really important to me, that I wanted to build in my life. So I quit my corporate job and was like, right, let's just do this podcast. Let's try different things. Let's see. So I'm like really in the stage now of like building up how I can live that life of what freedom means to me. So I think it means something very different to everyone. Like some people, it means travel. That's not what it means to me. For me, it's like freedom over my time, like of my schedule every day and things like that. And, being in charge of my own like business and projects and stuff like that. But I think for me, that knowing that core value of freedom as being something important to me really keeps me on the path of what's fulfilling for me. And for me to not feel lost in life, it's been like such a key pillar of something that was really important for me to realize. And there'll be people listening now that maybe need to recognize and understand what their own life values are, so that they can build their life on that and have their own unique fulfilling life. But when did you realize that freedom was important for you as a value, and when did you start to like then make changes to build your life based on freedom? Because you can see now you've created your life that fully gives you all of that.
Yeah, it's a really good question. And it was, I guess, like quite a difficult road to get here. So Some of it is from an old relationship that was very controlling that I didn't realize at the time. I was with this person for a lot of years, and it wasn't until the breakup and kind of the healing process that you realize how much that person had controlled my whole life. And so from that, I thought that's just literally never going to happen again. So I really looked into what I wanted to create and what my core values were and how I was going to live a life in line with that. A values exercise is so important to do because you can say, oh, these things are important to me. But again, it's like in that metacognition, like without the action towards it, right? The bias towards that action, then how are you actually putting that into your life? You really have to understand like the crux of the feeling that you want to create. Like, what is it? Why is freedom important to me? What is it within freedom that I'm drawn to? What am I doing to get there? And I always say to every client, what can you do today to move the needle by 1%? Just 1% a day is all you need to do. And then look how far you'll be a year from now, right? These tiny, tiny steps are how we can get to there. So I knew it was super important to me. It was difficult again to get there because I guess pre-pandemic, it was more difficult, which sounds ironic, doesn't it? Right? We're locked in our homes, but my whole business went online. So then instantly I can work from anywhere. Whereas before that, I was going into a lot of offices, which I do miss. I must say, I'd quite like 50-50 rather than kind of 100% online. I really, really do miss that. But before it was 100% in offices. So again, like I had freedom to an extent, but not the extent I probably want to. And so, yeah, kind of everything changed around that. And I'm super grateful for that. I really do I pray this year that there's more of an ability to go back into the workplace because I do miss that. I miss the coffee before or the chat afterwards or all of those little bits in between that seem to be kind of missing from life right now. But I think it took a long road to get to where I am and to really understand what I wanted from it. And I think that's the main takeaway, that you've really got to understand your core values.
Yeah, that's so true. I think as well that comes back to the love of fate, which we keep talking about lately. Like something like a controlling relationship can help you find that value is so important to you and help you create freedom in your life. So interesting. And just before we move on to talking a little bit about Monday Network, I know we've kind of covered a little bit of it, but we want to know more because we're just so excited to be journey with you. But just before we do, we would love to know, even though you've given us so much amazing advice, what is maybe like the best piece of advice you've ever received on your journey, or maybe the best piece of advice that you love to give to like your clients or on your podcast?
Yeah. Well, apart from the 1% thing, which I really, really do believe in, this has been said a million times, but if it doesn't matter in 5 years, don't worry about it for more than 5 minutes. And I fully, fully live by that now because, again, I won't go into the details on here, but, I was in a very bad relationship and, I wish I'd just taken that advice then. God, it makes me emotional thinking about it. I really wish I'd listened then and I'd thought in that way then, but I didn't have the confidence. You've been kind of been stripped of everything, right? I didn't have the confidence to think in that way. And so for me now, talking to anybody or anyone listening, like those are words to live by. That was given to me by a therapist. And I know so many people talk about it, but my therapist, she was amazing. And I just remember her saying that to me and I was like in the pit of despair and I was like, oh, shut up. Like, that's not helpful. I was like, I can't stop thinking about everything. And then reflecting on that, it's incredible. So yeah, and I think as well, just one more small thing is there's an amazing teacher called Carl Rogers who is a coach and he teaches you all about presence and active listening. And I just want people to practice active listening because when you fully immerse yourself in someone else, like you two, they're like watching me and they're like listening so intently right now. But oh my goodness, you'll find yourself in a world of conversation and knowledge that you least expected to be in. So for example, when I talk to my friends, I've really tried to never pick up my phone. I try to like really look at them intently, actively listening, and it really changes the game. So just give it a go of being like really like loads of eye contact and like reflection. Make people really uncomfortable. So that's my advice. Yeah.
I love that. That active listening thing is such a good point because that's like one of the things we're really losing in our society right now, because we have got
Yeah.
our phones all the time. I think there's like a term for it. It's called like phubbing or something like that. And it's when you've got your phone out and you're talking to someone and like you're in a conversation, you keep getting your phone out and they're speaking to you and you're like going off on your phone. It's called like phubbing, where you're like,
Oh, really?
yeah. So I think it's been like made up specifically for that act of ignoring someone and going on your phone. But it damages relationships, and no,
Yeah.
I know not to like a really like a deep degree, but you are going to get so much further in life if you are engaging with people and making them feel seen.
Yeah.
Your relationships are going to be better. Your friends are going to feel more valued by you. You're going to build better work relationships with your colleagues, and everything's going to be better if you can just sit there and like be with that person and listen to them. And so I think that's such an amazing tip, and something that we're really losing as society, especially younger people, where we're so distracted by our phones. And I think that's a really important thing to always be mindful of, because we people don't do it enough. Like, honestly, when people get their phones out when I'm talking to them, I'm like, stop. Like, because I really try not to do that to other people, and I'm like, it's so
Yeah.
rude, but people just don't even realize. But there's a whole world of benefit from active listening. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, that was amazing. And I love the little quote about the 5 minutes or 5 years, and just
Yeah.
let it go.
Yeah.
But so let's just finish off just speaking about Monday Network. Like,
Yeah.
we've briefly touched on it, but kind of like, because our listeners, like, they've been with us from the start, and like they love being part of the
Oh,
journey. Like, they were so excited when
yeah.
we built a studio, and like when we
I
get like,
know.
yeah, they love watching like the evolution of the podcast. And obviously this is a really exciting thing. We're so excited about it, and there's going to be so many things that lead off from it this year. So like, what's the the listeners know exactly what's going on because they want to be part of it. What is like your sort of like
Oh.
elevator pitch of Monday Network? Like, what and where do you see it going? Because we know why you started it, you've said that, but
Yeah.
where do you see it going, and what's
I mean, you've really put me on the spot, haven't you? My elevator pitch. No. So yeah. So again, we wanted to create this collective of amazing podcasts based all around female growth, self-development, value-led podcasts. Essentially, we've looked at a breadth of podcasts. There has to be certain prerequisites to kind of be in the network. Like, again, like really savvy hosts, really just like fun, creative, which you guys totally are. You're very much like Gen Z nailed. Like, I'm like sometimes like don't understand the things. No. But you've got this really unique portrayal of like what you talk about, and I think it's really, really strong. It's really great. Again, we've got a girl, she's another coach actually, but she's very much focuses on entrepreneurs and kind of like helps them get out things like that. So she's very business focused, so we've got her involved. There's like different people who have different energies, and so what we want to do is bring us all together as a collective. You'll probably hear you guys on different podcasts from Monday Network and vice versa, because it's all about collaboration. And that's the main thing that we want people to take away. Our dream is to have an in-person event this year, COVID permitting, please, where, people would get to meet all the hosts from Monday Network. Everyone will do like a little talk. It kind of be, again, like networking events, like bringing together like really savvy women, like all of your listeners, you guys, my listeners, bringing us together and having this really like amazing immersive day. And that's kind of the energy we want to bring. Similarly, the brands that we're speaking to are very well-being focused, female focused, high energy. Again, we look at how they advertise. Are they inclusive? Are they diverse? We want to make sure that the brands that we portray on the network, again, are all of those things and so much more. What are their core values? What's their strategy? And so we're kind of seeking out brands that we believe are a good fit for our hosts as well. Similarly, like we would never ask a host to work with a brand that doesn't fit for the listener or for them. We're really, really passionate about that. It's driven, obviously, there is an exchange of money. However, that's not the driving force behind it. The driving force is to bring together women. And that's kind of why we wanted to do it and why it's been so well received. Like any brand we speak to is like, it's amazing. We've never done podcasts. Let us work out how we're going to work with you and we'll go forward. So we're super excited about it. I think that there's just so much to come. And hopefully, you know, all your listeners will be on for the ride with us as well. You know, we're learning as we're going along. Like, even to set up a channel on Apple is very, very difficult. So, you know, we're learning as we go along, but we will get there, and it's really exciting. And I think that you're going to love the collaborations that will be coming up. So
Yeah, I literally can't wait. I feel like so grateful that you wanted us to join, and we're going to learn and grow
Oh
together.
my God. Oh, yeah, of course. No, when I first found you, I was doing a bit of research on podcasts after I just launched, and I found you, and I was like, I just love them. You've got a really nice tonality though. You know how some podcast hosts are amazing, but you can't listen to a full podcast because it's quite like, I don't know, like too much. I don't want to slag off a podcast because I love them, but you know what I mean? But with you guys, it's very, again, it's a calm energy. And I feel like that's what I need. Like if I'm commuting or I'm doing something, I want to put a podcast in. I want to feel just like with you guys, that we're just having a conversation. So it's really nice. Yeah.
We're so excited, and we're so excited about the potential in-person events if COVID's fine, because that's something like our listeners have always asked us for. So we do like online events with them, but they want in person. We've been like, because of COVID, not really been able to do it, but also I think like it's just going to be so amazing to bring together like as a collaborative event with loads of other podcasters as well, and just because we've had 2 years of like being inside, and like same with like the people that listen to podcasts, like they would love to go to events like that and meet other people that listen. Like you're going to be best friends with them because you have the exact same interest, you're on the exact same vibe, you're going to meet your besties there. So I'm so excited for that and everything. And yes, it was an amazing elevator pitch. Monday Network,
Did I do okay?
But all the listeners listening now, make sure you go and like follow Monday Network on Instagram. We'll link it in the show notes. And,
thank you.
Because they're gonna get to reap all the benefits of it as well. So
absolutely, it's listener first. That's the thing. It's all listener first. So hopefully everything we create will be a reflection of that.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I had such a huge smile for the whole interview. Like,
thank you for having me. I feel honoured. Honestly, I love your podcast. You're doing great work. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been great to chat. You've got such an inspiring story, and you will have really opened a lot of people's minds today. So thank you.
Oh my goodness! Stop! No, stop! Thank you.
But where can everybody find you? Like, Instagram, everything. How can they get involved with you?
So like Instagram's the place, isn't it? Let's be honest. So I'm just at Kirsty Raynor. And then my podcast is linked there. The Monday Network's all linked there, kind of in my bio, which is super easy. But come and say hi. I give out like tons of free content as well, kind of through my mailing list. And you'll be able to sign up, you know, just in my bio and stuff. And I try to be this place of like calm and just knowing that like it's all right. We've all been in the messy middle and we'll all get there together. So come on in.
I love it.
Thank you so much.
We'll link your Instagram and everything in the show notes so everyone can follow you and join your world.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's been an honour. Take care.
So guys, I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as we enjoyed chatting to Kirsty. She's such a vibe. We love her so much. Northern girls uniting on a podcast, you know, Northern girls just like, you just have a connection straight away. It's just like, you're on a vibe. And Kirsty's obviously from Yorkshire and we're from Lancashire, so vibes. But I really hope you enjoyed it, guys. Make sure you check Kirsty out. Go follow her on Instagram at Kirsty Raynor. She's always posting very helpful wellness content, helping you learn about yourself and improve your mindset. And she's also got the most amazing podcast, the Mindset and Me podcast, that me and Abby have actually been interviewed on before, and we love that chat. We share a lot about our own journeys, and if you want to get to know us a little bit better, that's a great one to listen to. But she's got so many episodes with some of the most amazing guests ever. She does amazing solo ones as well, just inspiring you, uplifting you. She's got the most calming voice, so her podcast is just so nice to listen to. And at the end, she always does a little meditation, so you're always going to leave it feeling like, even if I'm like out and I can't actually do the meditation, just listening to it makes me feel so chilled. I just love it. So check that out, the Mindset and Me podcast. We've linked it in the show notes as well, because if you love our show, then you'll really enjoy that one as well.
Yeah, definitely go check it out and watch this space for what is to come with the Monday Network. We cannot wait to see it all flourish and come together, and yeah, it's just really, really exciting time. So stay tuned and get excited with us, because there's a lot coming.
But that is all for now. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next Wednesday.
See you next time.